Should be all ready to go. And yeah, welcome back to Satisfactory. We are... Okay, hang on. Wait. Something is wrong. Okay, I'm not getting any sound. Hang on. Give me a minute. I think I can fix this. Alright. No, it's not that. Wait. Play sound. There we go. Alright. Problem solved. Okay, sorry about that. We lost power last night, so all of the stuff with my computer is a bit funky right now, but should be fixed. Alright, so last time we were in the process of making the supercomputer factory, and we had just finished off making fuel. So we have all this stuff, and this is all the fuel. So the next step is to take this fuel and make it into plastic and rubber. And then we're also actually, maybe before that, take the heavy oil residue and make it into petroleum coke. So let's get that done. So we have all this spare heavy oil residue. Where is that? So if I remember correctly, each of these lines is 900 heavy oil residue output. And obviously we only need 600. So if we take petroleum coke and we need 285 times 10. So we need 950 heavy oil residue. So there's going to be 300 there, 300 there, and hopefully 350 here. I hope I've done the math right when I did this last time. I probably did. So we just need to go over here and get all of those production lines in. So if it's 950, it's going to be 2 pipes. So I guess we'll do it in 1 pipe and then another. And we should be able to just put that on this floor here and not have space problems. So let's build this out. Because the more, technically, there is a small risk of using all the vertical space and going all the way down to ground level, which would cause some problems, but it shouldn't be a major issue. Alright, so if we're just over here, we need to blow up some more trees. So throw that down and get rid of that tree. Alright, so what we need is, of course, refineries. And I guess we can line them up. Let's not waste space. We can just line them up over here. Have a bit of a gap for whatever we need it for, and we can just have that there. Should be fine. So you are set to petroleum coke. And it's 2,850 divided by 120 is 24 of these. And they need 40 heavy oil residue. So 600 divided by 40 is 15. So we can have 1 row of 15 and then 1 row of less than 15. So So that should work out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, just 2 rows of 12 would work more nicely. It'll leave some spare capacity in the pipes as well. So let's have that. And we should power these up so that the power reaches across. So this comes over here, so we're not about to fall out of the sky. And then we're going to need some extra space because 12 times 120 is 1440 divided by 780 is... So yeah, we were going to need 2 output belts for these, another 2 for the others. So just leave that much space, probably will be plenty. And then we bring this over here and put in our second row of not quite 12. So we get a refinery, and we can line that up like that, and it should be fine. Let's blow up another tree. Nope, we missed. Alright, where are you? It's gonna be easy. It's always easier to go down here. Oh, but we need to swap to jetpack mode and hope that this gets us back up. Alright, that was some pretty good movement there. I was able to swap to the hover pack at the very top to get the rest of the way up. Alright, so then we get all these in, and somehow I lost the copy-paste. So let's get that back across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To expand this more. So over you go. And then get all of those. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so that exists. Fill in that random gap. So one of these is set to 75%. Easy. And then we have to deal with the outputs. So if these are groups of 12, I guess merging them up into batches of 6 would be easiest. And we want to be a little bit efficient. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 120 times 6 is 720, so that's plenty. Okay, but then we want this last one to go out so that we can start another belt here. Alright. So we have all that, and now we just have to put the belts in and get the other half. And then obviously put the pipes in to load it up in the first place. So these outputs are 120, which means Mark IIs. And we just get all of these. So there we go. And then the main lines are obviously going to be Mark Vs. So we just run along with that. And those two aren't supposed to connect up, because that's its own separate thing. So we just run that belt along. And now this comes out to there. And they're all going to expand along this way. Like that. And then we just have to do the same thing again over here. So you get 6 of these merged up. And then another 6 go out like that. Alright. Now we connect them up using Mark II belts. And so there is technically a small downside of using Mark II belts, which is that they can't correct if they get disrupted some. Because they can't alternate between outputting more quickly and less quickly. So we might have to use Mark III belts for these guys' outputs, but it should be fine with Mark II. It's just something to be aware of. Alright, so then this is the one which comes out like this. And then we keep on catching them up. Stop doing that. Please just connect in normally. There we go. Wait, was I using Mark IVs there? I was. Those need to be Mark Vs, because I definitely do not want to use Mark IV belts. Alright, so then that comes along there. And that's all the output setup. Next up is the input. So these just get pipeline Mark IIs. And it's 40 times 12 is 480, so there should be plenty of space. So we shouldn't have major pipe issues because there should be enough free space for it to not be a problem. So let's bring that along. And then put the junctions in. There we go. Alright, that one did somehow get lined up. Oh, this is crooked. Alright, I guess that doesn't really matter. Like, it'll be fine like this. I don't know why I did that. But it's not gonna break anything, it's just gonna look a little funky. Alright, so those all connect in. And then we come over here and do the same thing but in reverse. So this comes along this way and in a couple of segments. We have to make sure the segments don't stop directly in front of where the junction needs to be. And all of this goes together. And done, and connects in. Ooh. Autosave lag spike there. One of the nice things about the hover pack as opposed to the jet pack is you don't get sent flying during autosaves. Alright, so the inputs are all set up. So now we just have to connect all these pipes up to these up here. So, let's think. What we need is we need to take some off of that, some off of this, going into there. And then we have to take some off of this, which we need some floor for. So then this comes over here. And so now these are all connected up. Now we just take two of these pipes. So you get a junction and you come down. And you go in there. Then we go all the way over here. So you get a junction, which comes down over there and connects into that. Alright, so that should be that. And then I think they're technically, you always see this, is that you want to avoid having just ends like this, which I haven't been doing before, but I might do it here just to make sure. So if we just connect these two up, then that might prevent sloshing to some extent, which would be cool. So the heavy oil residue should be producing again, in theory, because it should be filling all those pipes. And we do see a whole lot of green. Also a whole lot of yellow, but that's unsurprising. But these ones over here are red. So these ones never got connected up to power in the first place somehow. Not sure how that happened. You connect those up. Alright, easy mistake, but also easily fixed. And now we are creating enough heavy oil residue to fill all these pipes. So now there's only one thing left to do here, which is actually connect the individual machines up. And that is going to obviously create a ton of petroleum coke. So we just do that. And we need more of these power lines. So that can all connect across. And then go a bit further forwards. And we just keep on attaching until all of these are in. There we go. Just one more. And gotta make sure we aren't missing any, which is very easy to do. But, alright, so those are all in. And okay, so it's just hard to see because of the very dark colors and the shadows and everything, but these are all working and should be filled up pretty soon, I would think. And I would also predict that maybe these ones over here will be slower. No, they all have plenty of heavy oil residue. So that's a good sign. So, petroleum coke, check. Fuel, check. So that's all we need the heavy oil residue for. So the next step is, I guess, going to be using the fuel to make plastic and rubber. So, let's go down another floor. So we get a wall in, and let's just put it somewhere out of the way, like over here. And we go down 10. That'll leave us room for a logistics floor if we need one, although I don't think we will. And now we just put all these foundations in. Yeah, we still have a good amount of space beneath us. Although once we get down to... Well, the goal is that we do this with the fuel and then the resource refining with the water, which we're also going to have to grab more of because this uses so much water. And then we won't have any fluids, and then at that point, if we want to do something crazy like go back up again, then that would be fine. Because we don't have fluids, which have elevation problems. But for now, let's get plastic and rubber. So the first thing with rubber actually is we need to grab the polymer resin. And we have, what, 1200 polymer resin? I think I remember that. Yes, 1200 polymer resin is going to make 600 rubber, which is going to need water. And then the fuel will also have to be used for that. So I think we will start with the polymer resin first. So use to make residual rubber, which is 4:2, but uses a ton of water. And each one is 40 per minute. So we could load balance that easily using batches of 3 off of 120 belts. So let's do that. So polymer resin needs to get down 2 floors basically. And I imagine this is going to be 600 and... Oh no, it's going to be... How much is it, actually? Like, how is it distributed? So this is 20 per machine. And there are... How are these made up into groups of 4? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 4, which is 20 machines. So this is 400 polymer resin, I guess? Just eyeballing that. Or, wait, is that true? These are definitely groups of 4. And I see 5 groups of them. 5 times 4 is 20. So 20 times 40 is 800. Alright. So that's how much heavy oil residue each of these makes. I don't know the numbers. We're going to have to just assume that it's correct. And we have 3 batches of 400, although... Oh, it's slightly less, right? Because it's not... This is going to be a problem, actually. Because if I recall correctly, this is slightly underclocked. So we don't actually have 1200 polymer resin. We have slightly less than 1200 polymer resin, which is so much worse. Alright. The math here is... Yeah, so that's going to be wrong. Or maybe it's right, and I don't know. So let's do the math again. So we have 1180 there, and then 1198.367 polymer resin. So if we have 1198.367 polymer resin, that will give us 67 divided by 2. That'll give us 599.18 rubber. So Okay, no, this is definitely wrong. I think the easiest solution is to just overclock that again, have a little bit of spare, and then whatever the math calculates out to, it should just stay at that level and hopefully be fine. Because this math is going to be complicated, and I do not really want to do complicated math. But now we have 1200 polymer resin, so that makes it a lot easier. And the only problem is going to be when the heavy oil residue, if that saturates because we have too much of it, then this factory is going to have all sorts of weird problems, is basically what I'm saying. It's probably not going to work super well at first. So, we have to take the polymer resin out. And I guess it has to go over those pipes. And I think we want it to all meet up over this way. Alright, so this all comes over here. And then we need one more belt of it from this one. So it comes up like that, goes over those pipes, and then I didn't grab it correctly there. So then it comes over here, and all the way over to here. So now we have all of our polymer resin together. And there's very little on this one because I put a sink there, which is fine. So now we get some floor holes. Actually, I want these to all be lined up for neatness. So if we just bring these back here, that should work. And then we just have to get the polymer resin into these. And I accidentally downgraded that line instead of connecting it up. Alright, so now we have these. And we just need to bring it down to here. And yeah, and then down one more level, I think, to this. Alright, so let's bring you down, and you're going to have to go through a floor hole on this level as well. Alright, so down you go. That goes in. And down. This one goes there and there. And down they go. Alright. So now the polymer resin is down here. And I almost fell out of the sky again. So we go down 10. We bring power with us so that we don't fall out of the sky. And now we make this floor over here, apparently. So we get some space. And we're going to have to set up the refineries. Alright, so this goes out a little bit that way as well. And these belts come the rest of the way down. Down you go. And down you all go. Alright, so now we have polymer resin. And these come in batches of 400. And you blow up another tree that's in the way. And does a blueprint designer fit in here? No, it doesn't. Alright, well, I have, at some point, I made this blueprint, which, let's see if this actually does what I want it to do. Is it balanced properly? No, it isn't. Alright, so we can't do that then. We're just going to have to do this manually, I guess. So, we have 3 refineries, there, there, and there. And you are doing residual rubber. So, in order for this to work, we just need a conveyor splitter there, which gets those 3, and let's see if I can just give them all the settings, and then also gets water. Okay, this is actually going to be a lot, right? Because we're going to need to do 10 of these. Yeah, let's make this a blueprint. It'll save some time. Although I could have sworn I had... Oh, the ones that I built the other day were 1 to 4, so that's not going to work. Alright, so we have to just go up, find some free space, and plop down a blueprint maker. And I think we actually made this platform over here specifically for that purpose. So, blueprint designer... In you go, and you get 1, 2, 3 refineries with a conveyor splitter going like that, and a smart splitter going like that, and we can actually probably make this auto connect up like so. And then what we need is a pipe which works properly, so we need I guess the pipe goes like that, and it should be a Mark II pipe. And then we get a 3-way split to there, there, and there. And that should be all good to go. So we just have to configure this as right any center overflow and put the recipes in. So these are all going to be residual rubber. So we paste that across, and we're going to call that residual rubber, and then drop back down. We can leave that blueprint maker there in case we need it in the future. So down we go, and we get over this way. Alright, so here we are. And it is now time to start placing those blueprints. I forgot to put the power poles in. That's like a significant portion of the reason to even make a blueprint. It's fine. We can deal with that. So we get 1, 2, and now we just have to send the zoops across. I also didn't do the back, but that's also fine. Getting all this done is good enough. Alright. Why do you not want to rotate correctly ever? That's 3, 4, and 5. So that's 120, 240, 360, 480, 600. So that is half of this and 1 pipe of water. So then we're going to need another one. Actually, I wonder if we can squeeze it in just in the same area, but facing the other way. This is 2, 3 wide, and we do technically have 3, but I think it's gonna be easier to just run it along like this. Alright, so that all goes over that way. And we get another one. And why do we not have power over here? And why does it insist on not snapping in sensibly? Alright, that's another one. Alright, let's bring power along these refineries just so that they can get started. Alright, so power pole there. Connect it up to power and start snapping these machines in. And we just have to go across and get a whole bunch of these. Alright, so these all get connected up. And we just keep going. So there we go. A couple more of these. Place that down to get the last few. Alright, so how many of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4... No, we can't count power lines here. We can count the pipe sections, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need 3 more. And we need to get rid of another tree. Alright, tree dealt with. Now we just expand this out. Another zoop across. And now we grab this. That'll be 8, 9, and did that place it somewhere weird? I feel like I placed it somewhere weird because I lost power and was panicking to get it in as I fell. So let's get all these powered up. And then figure out where you went. Yeah, you went down here for some reason. I don't know why I would ever do that, but Alright, so that should be 10. And we just have to get these last few in and not run out of power pole connections while we're at it. There we go. Alright, so next step that we're going to need is we are going to need to connect these in. So each of these is 400, right? And these belts can handle 780, and each of these takes out 120. So if we send 400 in there, it's 360 there. So we can actually just slap a merger onto that and have you go in immediately after. And then hopefully that will work. And then, so that's going to be 760, 640, 520, 400. So over here is where we can put the last ones in and have them fit. So let's get that in. And this comes over this way. And a little bit further, and then in. Alright, so that is all set up. That is the polymer resin supply to this, which will be done once we get the heavy oil residue producing again, because that's currently the backlog. Like this first one isn't producing at all because it didn't have any synced stuff as a backup. So that will take a while to work. And then as far as water goes, this is going to be 120 times 10 is 1200. So this is going to be 2 full pipes of water. So we just have to feed it from both sides. So this just comes along. And where is it lined up? Why do I always place these in weird spots? You can just be directly on that part of the line and it'll be a lot easier. You have to be elevated some. And then you come over this way. And no, stop it. Don't go down like that. I am struggling to build properly today. So this comes along here, out to there, and then we need to expand this row across so it can come out to there, and then further up to there. And expand this across just a little bit more. Where we are done. Alright, so now we just have to connect all of these up. And I could have made this auto-connecting across as well, but I thought I might do something fancier at the time, but decided against it. Alright. So these all go like that. And then we connect them all across. Alright, so that now we just have to connect this up to water and we'll be done. It's going to require a whole lot of water. And probably more water than we have. So let's drop down and bring in some extra pipes of water. So where are we? We're here. We could get water from this river down here, which honestly seems like it's going to be tough. Where is... It's pretty shallow. We might be able to get some extractors in. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get some, but it's going to be annoying. And then the other alternative would be to just go up to that lake up there, which I think we'll do. Swap to the jetpack for this. So we're just going to go over there and grab some water. And we're going to have to hook it up to the same headlift system, which might actually cause some minor complications. Alright, so we have that lake set already. So now we need to go down here and... Alright, so you are the headlift pipe. So what we need is a junction off of you, which comes just out, generally. Like that. And then we just need to bring this all the way over to the west, where there'll be plenty of water for us. And that one's going to be too small to be worth it. We're going to head over for this big one. And let's use hover pack, because it's easier. It will mean placing down power lines as we go, but we needed to do that anyways, so it's no big deal. So let's do that. And now we start our journey. So this comes out over this way. This comes with us. And keep going over this way. And we keep dragging this along with us. And we're just about there. There's also a convenient SAM resource there, which we're not going to use, but at least it exists. Alright, so now we bring this all down to near the water. And we start going crazy with water extractors. So we need at least 2 more pipes. I'm going to grab 4 because we need water for the ore refining as well, and I know we don't have much for that. Alright, so let's get some of these powered up, just for the sake of having power lines. So that's 1. Then we get a second new pipe, just back to back with the first. And then leave a bit of space. Put another one of you. Alright, there are all sorts of beans about. Are these miniature beans? I feel like these guys are smaller than normal. I have a zapper. please leave. Alright, they do not want to leave. They're just going to stand there. Which I guess we can just work around them. Alright, so we get that, which is the third new pipe. And we need to bring power over here. Like that. And now we get in a fourth additional pipe. And we're just going to have you go there. Alright, so now we need to bring power. It feels like it travels such a short amount of range in these water areas. So bring a power pole there, and we just start powering all these machines up. Okay, now we have to connect them. Actually, that's going to be weird. Let's just do it like that, and then like that, and don't do that, whatever it was. Just connect in normally. Alright, so those are all connected in. Then we have to start powering up these ones. Alright, so those are powered up. And this is going to need power line to go all the way over to there. And of course, the beans are going to be in the way. So I think we just get rid of that one and place another one over here. Alright, so now we hook up those two and those two. And then they hook up to each other. And then they hook up to that. So that is another one of you. And then we have to get these ones, which all have to hook up to each other. And like that. Alright, and now just one more of these. So these go across. And we have to now hook them all up. So those go like that. That goes like that. And done. Alright, so now we have our headlift pipe. And we put a valve on it, like that. And we put the junctions in. So this goes in there. All of these just have to merge up, connect to this pipe, and then come out the other side. And then they're going to have to travel across the country in order to actually get to the factory. They always say don't drag long pipes, it causes problems, but they don't ever say what exactly you're supposed to do other than drag long pipes. Alright, so then that. Really, we're going to have to mine this. Alright, good old copper ore. Always just randomly in the way. There we go. Now you go there. And we have this one last pipe, which connects up there, then comes around and all the way over to here, and goes in there. Alright, so that should, in theory, be all the head lift we need. Now let's tell that valve to stop. And apparently we missed powering up some of these. So let's get them going. Fortunately, we do have a good number of power lines over here. So we have this one, which is apparently somehow not connected to anything. What? Alright, sure. That worked, apparently. So now we have all of this. And we just need to bring all these pipes up out of this crater. Like this. And like that. Alright. So, it's gonna be a lot of cross-country piping to do. So these can come over this way. Just sort of have to slowly make our way over. And that's as far as they'll go. Alright. And apparently we are a bit far from our power poles over here. So let's just put another random power pole there for hovering purposes. And then this just keeps going forwards. 1 and 2. And 3 and 4. Alright, so once we're up by that wall section, we're going to have to expand out the walls again to get these pipes up. That's going to be a bit annoying. So up we go. And now we just have to get around the side of this crater, which means a sharp turn here. Did that connect those two in? Yeah, I don't want them connected like that. Alright, so these go up here, and then around. Alright. This is definitely tedious. But we are almost there. So, what we need now is to get them up onto this platform up here, which I'm going to need to expand a bit to hold them. And it's going to need a wall or two coming down for them to get up on. Alright, so this goes up there. And I'm going to need to make some progress closer to that so that the rest of these can get onto it. Like that. Alright, now these all go up. And one more. Like that. Alright, we are no longer dealing with terrain. We are now, fortunately, just dealing with foundations. So the headache part is done. Now we just have to bring these up the rest of the way. And rotate them around like this. Alright, now we go forwards. And then up the last stretch, which isn't going to be that high, because we just need to get up to, like, here-ish, right? This is the level we're looking at. So let's bring these foundations over to here. I don't like that these somehow don't quite line up perfectly. I don't know how that happened, but it's fine. Oh, I think because that was placed off of a blueprint or something, and the blueprint didn't quite line up right. Alright, so we have this, and it needs basic walls. Go down. And, alright, this is aligned slightly differently, which is horrifying. But it's fine. You're just gonna ignore that. Alright, so now we just have to get these onto that wall, which apparently is going to require one more intermediate step because it's pretty far away. Also, apparently there's radiation around here. Forgot about that. Alright, so these go up. Fortunately, it's very, very mild radiation, so we're fine. And then this comes all the way up here. And water is now available. So these two... Actually, we'll bring all four onto the foundation briefly at least. And blow up this tree, which is clipping through. Get out here. Alright, so now we just have to take two of these. Let's just pick these two, I guess. So they have to go forwards and then get into these machines' inputs on either side. And I do want to be leaving space to do other stuff on this floor. So I think we might do the ore refineries here as well, just to get the last of the water done all in one batch. So we're going to try to take these sort of around where the outskirts might end up being for that. So this comes over here, and a little bit more. And then here-ish, we'll turn. And there we go. Alright, do we actually have this pipe here? Yes, we do. So we can grab this, bring it here, and take it around. So then it curves and goes over this way. And just a little bit more. Alright, so now that that's attached up, we will be probably starting to produce some rubber, but not all that much. And then this needs to go over this way. And, oh, we we've fallen outside of power range. So we're just gonna, I guess, just walk like a peasant. And back in power range. Alright, so that goes there. Then this pipe comes over this way. And keeps going. And turns and snaps in. Alright, so that should be water and polymer resin on both sides. So this should be starting up any second now, right? It's taking a little bit, but it's taking suspiciously long. Okay, but no, there we go. There we go. That's the type of speed that I'm expecting. So we are now producing some rubber. Not a huge amount, and it won't last for very long because the polymer resin production is currently a bit deadlocked, but it is some. And then this will be 20 per minute per machine. It's going to be, what, 600-ish rubber? So let's blow up this tree, which is in the way. And then just set this up. So we get conveyor mergers all the way along here. And this just keeps going along. And I think it's going to be important that this and the other rubber and plastic production is synced so that we don't end up with backlogs anywhere that causes the other half to shut down. Although maybe it'll be fine because they're both doing rubber. Yeah, it'll probably be fine since they're both doing rubber. Alright, so let's connect all of this up. And that will be our 600 rubber. Alright, so these belts all go across. And then a fast belt goes down. And that will be a significant chunk of rubber production done. Alright, now we have to do the fast belt, which goes like this. And hopefully water should be piling up in the system. Because having those extra buffers will be nice. The polymer resin is load balanced, so it doesn't need it. But the water isn't load balanced, so it does. Alright, so that's that. Should be a lot of rubber. Now, let's finish off all of the rubber production in one big batch. So we can have this floor, the rest of this be dedicated to making rubber and plastic from fuel. And it should use up a lot of this space, but it should fit probably. Alright, get rid of another tree. And then go up here. Alright, it is, I think, time for math. So we have 1,636 rubber, 1,856 plastic. And that is net. So we don't actually need that much rubber. We need 1,036 rubber because we're getting 600 it the other way. But you're going to need 1,800 plastic. So, that's going to be fun. It's going to be a whole lot. So this is, if I remember correctly, we have to create like an additional 25%. So let's get some signs down to figure out how much we actually need to make internally. Okay, so we could just do the thing we did elsewhere where we have lots of each and just run it past and have it be fine. So, okay, that's not a clear way of doing this, but if we just have one giant production line that makes both spare rubber and both spare plastic, we wouldn't need to go quite as crazy figuring out the numbers. Alright, we're going to need space. How much space are we going to need? Not that much. So I think we need this to be compact because we're probably going to need a bunch of rows. So if we put this like here, that gives us 2 tiles for our 2 types of input, which should be enough. So we get all of these in. And so this is 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, 480. Okay, now we definitely need to do this in a blueprint. It's going to be so many. There's going to be so many, and it's going to be all annoying. So let's just get a blueprint, and the blueprint can be set up properly balanced and everything, and then we can just expand that out to a larger scale. Actually, do I already have one of those? Let's see here. No, I do not. Alright. I didn't think so, but I should always check just to be sure. So, we're over here at the Blueprint Designer, and we get in a refinery, which I guess probably going to want as much space as possible, so we're going to build it right by the edge. So this is going to be recycled rubber. So, these two use 30 plastic each and make 120 rubber. Now, if I get one extra, and you do recycled plastic, you make 60 plastic and use 30 rubber. So if I just do this and I have equal numbers of both, this uses 60 plastic and 60 rubber to produce 60 of each. Okay, I actually don't think I want that. I want to be able to deliberately place one or the other. So this does exactly 60 rubber, but not 60 plastic. Or this does 90 rubber, right? Because it uses 30, produces 120. Alright, so that should be fine, just as a simple blueprint then. We have to set it all up now, so this goes into those two. And that goes in there. then we have these, which we're going to have to balance somehow to get 30 into there and 90 out. Now let's just do the one that does 60 of each. It'll be a lot easier. It'll be a lot simpler just to design, basically. So this outputs like that, and then we can even do a automatically snapping together setup like this. And let's have this go a little bit closer to the edge so that it definitely works. And then we have to just set up an identical thing over here. And then we're going to have to do the pipes. So one of these outputs into both of these. And then the other one gets to go out like that. And out like that. And now the pipes. So you need a pipe to go in here. And wait, it actually doesn't need to be over on that side. It needs to be over on this side. Although, if I want this to auto-snap across, it'll just go across the entire thing anyways. So let's do that. So you go all the way across there. And then the junctions go in. Alright, junctions are in. And these ones don't need it, so that's fine. And then we have to do the pipes over here. So this goes across to there. And is that straight? No, that's definitely not. It went over like half a tick or something. So that lines up there to go in there. And now we get those and in. And then we get the power poles, which I guess we only need Mark II for. So those all connect up. And let's see, so these two are recycled plastic. These two are recycled rubber. Alright, so this... Oh, we should also... We need to jumpstart the whole situation, so we get a stack of rubber and actually, did we set it up? No, our current setup for the dimensional storage produces plenty of both, but I think rubber is easier. So if we jump started with a stack of rubber in there, then that will just get the whole thing running. And we're going to want to fill our inventory up with rubber because a stack of rubber is a lot. Actually, we probably don't need it to be a full stack, right? We should be able to make do with half a stack. So let's think. So that's going to keep this running for a while. Like, what, 3 minutes of runtime there, which should be plenty. Because by the time those 3 minutes are up, the other one will be going and it should loop properly. So yeah, let's go with that. So this is plastic slash rubber. Oh, you're not allowed to put a slash in. Plastic and, alright, you can't put an and rubber. So I will just simply type out the word and. So this is 120 fuel to 60 plastic and 60 rubber. So we have that. And now we can figure out how many of these we're going to need. So we can... We're going to need at least 1,000 rubber. We're going to need 1,000 rubber output and another 800 plastic output. Which, yikes, that's going to be a lot of placements of that blueprint. It's going to be so many. So let's start by getting this space all filled in. And I'm going to want to just confirm that the blueprint works properly. So I'm going to set up one row, get it going, and then see if there are any problems. And then if there aren't, then we can place it down. Otherwise, we can head back up and fix it. So this can go in, and it's going to be nice and compact because all the belts and pipes are already internal. So you go there, and don't do that. How do we make you not? Alright, if we push you over here, no. Then you connect up to... So there's a small window in here where it doesn't want to connect up to anything stupid. So that's fine. And then we need to make sure that they're all oriented the same way. Which that definitely isn't. So let's please line up properly. So you have to be... Oh no, that is correct, I think. Alright, let's see. That has plastic output on the right. This has rubber output on the right. Yeah, okay, so that is backwards. And there's just literally no way of knowing that by looking at it. Thank you, symmetry. Okay, actually what we can do is we can pay attention to the power line. Alright, so this, the power line is on the same side for both. So yeah, the power line shouldn't be visible from where I'm placing. If it is, then we've got it backwards. Also, I really need it to not do that. I really need it to not do that. Alright, well, I guess that's fine. The thing is, it's a lot of machines for not that much output, which isn't ideal. And if I have to dismantle that every time, it's going to get old real fast, but probably just for this first row it'll be a problem. Shouldn't be an issue past that. Alright, so this is how much? We have... Each of these is 60 of each, so this is, as far as fuel goes, 120, 240, 360. So 2 more batches of this and we'll use a full fuel pipe. So let's just get those in. Like you, dismantle you, and you. And that. Sorry about that. Alright, so that one didn't connect up for whatever reason, which is good. Alright, so this should be a full pipe of fuel. Although it'll be, like, technically half a pipe on each side, which is fine. We can manage that. And then we just need to expand this foundation out so that it's not hovering. There we go. And now we connect the power lines up. So this just goes across. And then we connect it up to something with power. Like that over there. Very cool. Alright, so that is all powered up. Now what we need is to, I guess, just connect those across. Okay, that looks horrible. Just connect them across like that. And then attach a fuel pipe in. So, which one of you guys makes fuel? You do. How much? So these are rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these are rows of 12. So each of these produces 2 pipes of fuel. So we have 4 pipes of fuel plus a bit extra over there, which is interesting. Alright, so this just needs to go down a floor. You go down like that. And then you come out over this way. And snap into there. So this should start all of these up. Obviously it'll take a while for the fuel to get through. But it should function properly. Alright, so which of these has the rubber to get started? This one does. And it is outputting plastic over to there. So one of the things we're going to have to see is the 100 rubber I gave them enough? And I think the answer is yes, but it could easily not be. Alright, so that is starting these ones up, and they're about to finish their first batches. There we go. So that's outputting rubber to keep the loop going. This is outputting rubber as bonus. And there it goes. So we're seeing the first bits of rubber make it down there. Meanwhile, the rest of this is also going and hopefully doing well on fuel. Get all the way down over here. We are seeing, of course, fuel is not getting over here very quickly because it's got a long ways to go. But eventually, the outputs will backlog. So we're already seeing plastic and rubber backlogging, so this should eventually just stop the loop, and the fuel should get through nice and quick. But for now, we're building a plastic and rubber backlog, which is also beneficial. And then, actually, what we need to do is we need a sink for this rubber, because otherwise polymer resin will backlog and stop heavy oil residue from producing, which will then stop fuel from producing, which will stop the whole thing. Can't let that stop. So that goes over and in. And where is a power pole? Alright, that one is almost empty, so we're just going to have to place a new one. And then we're going to need another one of these. So you get a sink as well. Oh, is this going this way? Yeah, this is going this way. So we're going to need a sink over here, actually, not over there. Alright, so we dismantle that. Run over here. And then put the sink in. And this is going to be... I think we're going to leave this in just to be sure that nothing weird happens with backlogs, but it should only be needed temporarily. So that'll keep the polymer resin running. Not that that was particularly close to being an issue, but you know. Oh wait, no, that's dumb. That's the rubber there. This all is one giant line. And I believe it's just simply not fast enough. How much rubber is this? This is 600 rubber. So this whole thing should... Okay, I see. It's just draining in stages. That's fine. Because these are outputting technically 3 times as much as they should while they still have backlog. So that's going. This is going. And this is going. So it all looks good to me. I mean, we're seeing a lot of green. And to be fair, also seeing a fair amount of yellow, especially down here at the end, but it also looks like that might be resolving itself. Alright, so that's going. This is going. So, if this is 300 of each, and we need 1,800 of each, we're going to need another 5? 1856 divided by 300. No, we're going to need another 6 and a little bit of these in order to get up to the 1856 plastic. But once we get past the 1,000-ish rubber, we will be able to swap to a more efficient design which only produces plastic, which will help a bit. Alright, so this is going... Is this yellow because it's filled? Yeah, so this is yellow because its buffer is filled, which is fine. Alright, so let's, I guess, just start placing. And we need 6 of these, so we gotta start now. And this does seem to function properly. So, we get another row. And they're really gonna want to connect the pipes across, which I guess doesn't, strictly speaking, no, it will cause problems because they need to connect to each other. So we're going to have to give them more space in order to prevent that from happening. So how far away do we have to push these before they don't have that problem anymore? So let's fill in all of this foundation and grab another chunk of rubber because we're going to need that apparently. Alright, so this all goes out like that, and we're going to need to fill in this gap as well. So this is now all one big solid floor. And now we have to get this in. Not residual rubber, we want this one. And we need it to be far enough back that it doesn't connect, which is apparently there. Apparently that'll do, and no matter how I nudge it around, it doesn't want to start connecting. So we can put that in. And then why does it want to put it up there? In what world is that where I want that to be? Okay, so this is backwards because we can see the power line. Yep. So this is the correct alignment. And we just have to fill all of these in and get them placed properly. If we ever see a power line, we'll know we did it backwards. Alright, so that is in. And I assume the reason it's yellow is because of the trees, which are just barely peeking through. So let's get you gone. And we're going to have to get rid of that one as well. These ones over there should be fine, though. Alright, so now we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then connect that back to there. So these are all yellow. And now we grab another pipe of fuel. So we go up here, and let's see here, which is the row? We grabbed that row already. So now let's do this one. So it goes down there-ish. And we need to merge these two up. So that then goes across to there. And snaps down to there. Alright, that's row 2 producing now. Meanwhile, row 1 has started to backlog. So, I assume these yellow lights are all going to be from full. Yes. Even the ones right at the very end, hopefully. Yes, even the ones right at the very end are plenty of fuel, but full of outputs. That's good. And then obviously a couple of these are still spinning around in circles. But that'll take a bit longer to fix. Meanwhile, this row is starting up. And everything is looking good. So we have 2 rows. We're going to have to skip a lot of space here because that water pipe is unfortunately in the way. Which is fine, I guess. We could move the water pipe, but it's going to be easier to just go over here. And just expand this out. So this is going to go all the way over there. And oh, this actually might be an issue because of that wall. Can we expand out some other direction? No, not really. Alright, so I think what we do is we take this water pipe, we squeeze it in more closely there, we fit one more row in between that and the wall, and then from there we're gonna skip around the wall but not be skipping nearly as much space as we would be if we were to do it now. So this pipe goes along this way. And a little bit further. Okay, then we take that out and connect that across like that. Alright, now this pipe goes and should be enough space for us to fit a row in. Alright, so that all gets dismantled. And this probably needs to go just a little bit more like that, and then in, and that should be enough space. Alright, now we fill in this area. So this goes out like that. And we go and place these. Alright, so they're aligned and they're not snapping together. And actually pretty much, alright, they do eventually snap together like that, but this alignment is plenty. So there we go. And now we just have to go along connecting these up. And again, we should not see the power pole. So these all go in. And missing steel pipes. Alright, that's going to be a problem that we're going to need to fix. Steel pipe production is apparently very slow. And I thought I fixed it, but it's probably... we've just used up all of them at this point. We've been placing a huge amount of refineries for this project. And our steel pipe production rate isn't all that much. We can upload them into the dimensional storage nice and quick. But actually, producing them is a different story. Alright, so anyways, those are connected up. And then we just have to make that space all good and solid so that they aren't hovering. And then we have to grab a fuel pipe, which we can grab this pipe from this side. So we've grabbed this pipe from the other side, but we can still get another full pipe out from this side. So there we go. And right, you need to merge up. So you come together like that, then go in, then get a junction, and then up to there. Alright, so that is that. Another one of these done. And, alright, now it does look like steel pipe production is doing fine, but it's just simply we use a lot per placement, and I didn't have a backlog to begin with. Speaking of which, we need to get a rubber backlog built as well. Alright, so that is 3 of these done. And I think I do ultimately... yeah, so if I get these attached into sinks, and we can actually So these are going to be 300 each. So we don't need to use one sink per belt. We can merge these up and sync them. And then eventually that'll turn into merging them up and sending them somewhere. So we have that, and then you get a sink, which we need to get it over some pipes to get to, like that, and then down, and then that needs to be a Mark III. Alright, and now we need to do the same thing for the plastic, because I want these to run stably, because if these and the polymer resin are all running stably and working, then that's like basically all the fluid stuff functional. And I would like to know if that is actually happening, or if it just looks good because it's saturated. So we get a sink, which is somewhere there-ish. And this pipe, this belt is going to have to go over the pipes, like that. And then it's going to need to merge up, but not there, because that's not lined up properly. So you go down and merge up into that one. And then we grab a power pole to get you active. Then you come out like that and merge in as well. And then finally we get a sink for you, which we have to connect up to something. Alright, so now the whole system should be sunk and ready to go. And this is a little less than half of the overall plastic and rubber production. But it is 900 rubber. So once we get one more of these, we won't need all the rubber production, and we can just focus fully on plastic. And we actually won't even need a full extra one of these. It'll only be a partial, which means it's going to be complicated, is what it means. So we're going to have to figure out the actual like exact numbers for the last bit, I guess. Or we could just use backlogs to fill. Yeah, honestly, let's just do that. I've messed with getting exact plastic and rubber numbers correct so many times in this save and in other saves. I think the easiest solution is to just overproduce and let backlog do the work for us. So it will mean that this last one, the rubber side, won't be sunk, but that's fine. So we have to go back to here before starting the next one, although maybe it might barely squeeze in. But we need pipes on the outside. So yeah, let's do it in here. Being more space efficient is fun and satisfying. So we have to go back here, fill all this stuff in, and then go over here and place the next one of these guys in. So we get you, which I guess we need to go to default mode or default auto connect because the blueprint mode is going to want to do weird stuff, I guess. So this is it perfectly lined like that, so we just need to send you back until the pipe doesn't connect up, and then you can go in there. So now we swap to blueprint auto connect mode and try to get you all connected. So that's backwards, that's forwards. Unless I messed something up there. We should just be able to place a whole bunch of these in a row. And it looks like motors are actually being pretty heavily used as well, but they're keeping up nicely. And copper sheets, apparently. Oh, we placed an extra. We placed an extra batch there, which we didn't need to. Alright, so that is in. And now we need to fill out the floor. So there you go. This goes all the way back to there. Then we connect the power up. And these wires just go together. And then they connect up to you. Alright. So now that that's all in, we need to get another fuel pipe, which technically we've been slightly inefficient on, but it's fine. So we can just grab this one. And it is going to have to go out a little bit extra in order to get around the other one. I didn't think about the fact that I'd be building over this way when I put that pipe in. So you go over here, and then these two are going to have to squeeze together somehow. Which, maybe, does that look good? No, it clips that pipe there. Alright, so what we can do is we can just have this go all the way around, but that's going to look terrible as well. And there are all sorts of stuff on that side as well. Okay, actually, I know an option. This is going to be a bit scuffed, but because this is 300 each side, we should, I mean, this is going to make this one manifold and back up a lot less quickly than the others, but we can just connect this side across and have it go around like that. So that will take some time to get set up, but it should work eventually. Now, in the meantime, why are you not outputting? You have a rubber shortage. We're just going to assume that that is fine and is just something that needs to take some time to set up properly, because I don't want to have to deal with fixing actual flaws. Alright, this one was flickering. Okay, so this one is just output locked because the sink is all the way over here. So yeah, the sink being all the way over here means that it takes a while. And this is... oh, that's the Mark IV belt. You need to be Mark V. Technically, you guys could have been Mark IV and it would have been fine. But yeah, so we need that. And let's just, for consistency's sake, make all those Mark 5s. So that's going to take a while to drain now, but it will be draining at 780 a minute, while these produce at 600 a minute. So what, 180 a minute means like 2 of these buffers will empty each minute until it's done. Then obviously this one, which had half the work to do, is already fully set up properly. And the plastic side is also set up properly because I assume it's just had enough time to be fixed. Now, how are these guys doing? They are working, slowly but surely. However, the obvious problem here is that this is sending all of the plastic around, but this is like a billion years away on the fuel manifolding, so it's gonna be a bit before this starts up. Although some of these right here at the very edge do seem to be fully operational and outputting rubber. That makes sense. The fuel manifold has just gotten that far. So hopefully it won't be too much longer before this whole thing gets set up. And also hopefully it won't break and be annoying. Because that would be unfortunate. So this one has used up all of its rubber, which means that technically this one with plastic is the one with the backlog now. Alright, so we just have to see that the plastic is outputting, the rubber is outputting, so it is working, it's just a matter of time. And we're going to let this saturate and not hook it up to the sinks until slightly later, because that will help the manifold happen quicker, which is always useful. So then we need, theoretically, 2 more of these. So let's grab some space and start expanding the foundations out. Now, what I can do is, I think we shouldn't actually need more than 2 more, because if I go to the last one and I just turn off the ability for it to produce rubber, which isn't needed, then it should be significantly more efficient at producing plastic because of that. Although I will have to rearrange the outputs so that they can send 2 outputs. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out when we get there. But for now, it looks like this is functioning again. So that's cool. We just need to expand all this out a little bit more. And off you go. So all of these foundations go across there. And we're going to need that much space at some point, although I don't think we need it for this row. We will need it for the next one. So now this goes out a little bit more. And we can start putting the next row in. Alright, so that all goes back to there. And now we get this. Alright, so it's organized so that we don't see the power line. We just have to push it in to be lined up. And let's see, if I do it like this, it doesn't want to connect, as long as it's that far back. So we can just pop it in there and keep going. And this should be fine. Just get the rest of these in. And one more. And done. Alright, we are almost actually done with the plastic and rubber. It's a big job, but we are making big progress. We have one more row-ish. Alright, so this just goes across. And then we have to connect them up like that. And then we have to find a fuel pipe, which we haven't used yet. So we've used both sides of these first two rows, which means I guess the only option is this one here. And this is going to be 500 some fuel. 592.65, I guess. Alright, so this pipe is going to have to make a bit of a journey. And I think we will... Where is my hotbar? Why is my hotbar doing the opposite of what I tell it to do? That's fine. So this is going to go down and then make its way over. So it is just going to go across the ceiling. It's got quite the trip, but it goes over here and then just a little bit further, and now it should be close enough that it'll be fine. So it gets to there, and then it drops down. And we need to get these connected up. Like that. That's not really how I wanted to do that, but it's fine. It functions, which is the important part. So now that sends its fuel into this. Okay, now we need to scale down rubber production so that it works properly, I guess. So, let's think about this. We have... how many rows? So we have 300... So that's the different type. So this is 300, 600, 900 rubber. So this row only needs to output some of its rubber, and the rest needs to just be used for plastic. So we can, I guess, just turn off part of this row, or let me think. No, we can't turn off part of this row because we need the plastic side to function. Okay, if we just let this be saturated, then would that cause problems? No, but it would look very ugly, and I don't want that. So we have 900 rubber up to here. We need another 1,000 and... what is it? 1,036.4... no, not 1,036. So 1,036.4 minus 900. So we need 136.4 rubber out of this. So that is 60, 120, and 16.4. So that's set to 16.4. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. that one is supposed to stay up. It's 60, 120, and then this one is set to 16.4. And then the rest of these will be turned off for now. So that's another couple of those. And that checks out. So that is about what we would expect to have to turn off. So this is now producing exactly the right amount of rubber. But now we are, let's see if we do the math, we are 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500. Is that right? We have, how many rows of plastic do we have? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is 1500 plastic, but we need slightly more than 1800. So we need to convert all of this wasted, quote-unquote, rubber production to make more plastic. So are you the first one that I turned off? Or no, you're the one that I slowed down. So you're the first one that I turned off. So you make 60 rubber, and let me think. My brain is struggling here. I know we have the right number of machines. Just have to figure out how to organize them. Okay, actually we might not want to have this totally turned off. I don't know. So what we need is to turn some of these rubber making machines back into plastic making machines. So this makes 60 rubber. This can feed 2 more plastic machines for another 120 plastic. But we only have 1 more machine which could be turned into a plastic making machine, and we do not have space here to do any more. So let's at least let's see here. So we would need to like take this out, flip it around, make it produce plastic instead of use plastic, and output onto this belt. And that would give us another 60 plastic production off of this. But then all of these are already doing plastic production or directly rubber to plastic. So that wouldn't work great. So if we're at 1500, we need another 356 plastic. How much can we get out of this? So if we do the same thing here where we convert one of these rubber that's just doing rubber for output, and so that instead would input into those 2 machines, that would be another 120 plastic. Then this one would input into that machine, which would be another 60 plastic. So that would get us up to 1680 plastic, but we would still be a bit short. Alright, I think we just need more machines, and there's no way around that. So and the reason we need more machines, I think, is because we can't get this fully efficient because we had to turn this machine's clock speed down a lot. So if we could have, let's see, if we could have 1 more rubber producing, now let's just do an additional row, it'll be fine. So yeah, 1 more row will be much easier than all this. But we can still go here. Wait, did I just have a realization, maybe, about plastic in this one? Hang on. I feel like I just realized something. So these are all producing rubber. No, I didn't. I definitely didn't realize anything. Well, okay. This machine produces... No, not that one. That's a bad example. We need that one. This machine produces 60 rubber and consumes 30 plastic. So actually it's plus 90 when we flip them, right? Because this is going to start producing 60 plastic and also not using 30. So we might actually have enough machines here after all. So let's do that math again. So we have to leave one of these producing plastic, and then those two... One of these produces rubber, those two take that rubber to produce plastic. So that is plus 180 there. Then, this one produces rubber, which this one uses to produce plastic. That's plus another 90, so that's plus 270. So instead of 1500, we're up to 1770. But then, also, this one wouldn't be running at full, so it would only be running at 30, so it would not be taking as much plastic. But the problem with all of this is that these machines are not set up to do that anyways. Like, they are set up to do these loops. And I would have to come up with a whole new blueprint. So I think what we do is we just set another row and use it, and then set a whole bunch of settings down. So that will... Another row would bring us up to, what, 1800 plastic? And then we can just swap, like, one machine over and be done, instead of having to procedurally go through and break the entire system. Alright, so that should be fine. So, we grab our blueprint, and we need to get it lined up just right, so that nothing snaps to the wrong stuff. And now we just start popping these guys in. And there's another one. And one more. And the last one. Alright, so those are all in. And we just need to attach fuel up to this, knowing that neither of these last two rows are going to be using anywhere near as much fuel, right? So this... Let me scroll correctly. So this can also go back to these two. And that goes across to there and in there. And then we connect that across, and we have fuel going in. So let's give the pipes a little bit of time to get started, because that'll make the whole thing a lot faster. But we don't want to give them too much time, because we want to finish this today, or at least this portion of the factory. So these all go across, and then back to there, and it's all good to go. Alright, so now we have this, which could produce 1800 of each, and instead we are going to go to all of these and turn them off. So these are the ones that output rubber. This is not the most space-efficient way of doing this, or the most machine-efficient way, but it is the most effort-efficient way, which probably counts for something. So now this is 1800 plastic and exactly the right amount of rubber. So the next step is to just like convert one of these around. Alright, so let's actually go back here. This is the very first machine. So this one we do actually want to make rubber. So that makes 60 rubber. Then we take this machine, we take it out, we flip it around and place that back in. Then that comes out. This whole thing is going to have to get dismantled a little bit. And this, then, actually, we just need this to output directly into that. Like so, but I want it to be neater looking. So we do that. And that will be rubber into here, which is going to make recycled plastic. Then we need that to not connect up. We need it to connect up here. So that goes in. And then instead of taking this plastic input, it has to just get its own merger and go there. Alright, and then this machine is only going to need to be at 30 a minute because it's only feeding this one now. Which, I mean, this whole loop is going to be a little bit funky now, which is a bit annoying that I chose to do this randomly in the middle, but whatever. Then we can power that machine up, and it is going to get some rubber and start producing plastic. Alright, now how much plastic is that? Is the question. So is that enough, or do we need to do one more? So it's 3, so this would have been 300. We added this on, which adds 60, so it's 360. So that alone should be enough, not counting the savings from not having as much plastic consumption. And speaking of which, we gotta just figure out what this all needs. So this is outputting 60 rubber, but it only needs to output 45. So I think I don't know. We're just gonna leave that being a little weird. It's gonna be rubber backlogged, but that's fine. So the important thing is that this is probably all functioning. Probably. I couldn't tell you that for certain, but it looks good. Alright. So that is that. And the thing is that if we set this to output, what's the word? If we set this to just output into a sink, then we're gonna get wrong numbers. So I'm going to need to probably just do some belt magic to get all of these like speed limited to exactly the right number. And that'll also help tell us if we don't have exactly the right number, which will be quite convenient. So I think, though, that will be a job for next time, because I'm feeling exhausted. It's been a long week, and we've made good progress. We have all these machines in, which means plastic and rubber is done, and we can stop, hopefully. Hopefully next time we can just run in, do the Caterian copper ingot refining real quick, and then stop worrying about these stupid refineries and stupid fluids, and we can just do a bunch of solid-based stuff, and it'll be great. But, so that will be on Monday. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Working with fluids is frustrating at times, but, you know, when you get it working, it is somewhat satisfying. And so yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to follow if you haven't already, because I will be back doing this again in the near future. And yeah, that's about it. I will be back on Monday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, as usual, playing Satisfactory. Factorio will be on Tuesday, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!